The era of Gunther swept over Friday Night SmackDown 2 weeks ago by way of his victory over Ricochet for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Tonight, the Reign General defended his title in a rematch against the one and only, looking to further establish dominance over the brand and eliminate the threat of Ricochet regaining the title all at the same time. The return bout headlined a broadcast that also featured Drew McIntyre, laying out his road to the undisputed WWE Universal Championship and the latest Money in the Bank qualifying match between two familiar foes. Let's take a look at everything that happened on this edition of Friday Night SmackDown, for this is the Cerebral Smack Talk. Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. I am Anthony Florio, sitting in tonight for good old MF Michael Fletcher. Not with us this evening, work commitments beyond his control. And with that, I am joined, as always, by the Phenom, Michael Bullock, coming off another one of our legendary SmackDown chats, as always. And tonight, Friday Night SmackDown, live from the brand new Moody Center in Austin, Texas, probably at the University of Texas. And we started it off with an in-ring segment. It was Drew McIntyre cutting a promo, interrupted almost immediately by Sheamus. And these two, and then Paul Heyman comes out, and then from there, Adam Pearce was with him, and Paul Heyman, using his influence along with that of the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, obviously, Adam Pearce reversed he was informed that management overruled his decision from last week, in which he allowed both Drew McIntyre and Sheamus into the Money in the Bank, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But he did say, however, you both can earn your spot if you can defeat the Usos in tonight's main event. And at first, I'll tell you what, Michael Bullock at first was going nuts. He was freaking out. But then when he heard the match, he was like, well, all right, you made a match, but of course, the big question going into that match was, how would Drew McIntyre and Sheamus fare as a team? Because remember, these two hate each other's guts. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But we'll get into that main event. I'll say it like this. It was a case of the old tag team partners who hate each other trope, popularized at the height of Vince Russo's Attitude Era booking. Of all the things to survive that magical time period of chaos and unpredictability, it was that storytelling crutch. That's not to say the match itself will not be good, because the talent involved could turn it into a match of the year candidate anytime it damn so pleases. It was just a shame that such a convoluted setup that makes no sense and did not need to exist had to get us there. But, it was what it was, and we'll have to wait and see. So we'll get into that in the main event. But for right now, let's get into our first in-ring action of the night. The latest men's Money in the Bank qualifying match with two familiar foes, Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, dating back to the TakeOver Dallas in 2016. These two battled it out, and the winner of the match in 9 minutes and 55 seconds, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn wins the match via the Huluva kick at just north of 10 minutes. Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura can have a good match with their eyes closed and their hands tied behind their backs. They have incredible in-ring chemistry, to the point that a merely good match is still better than many that lesser talented competitors may have. This was no different. Now, it was nowhere near their 5-star classic from Dallas in 2016, but it was still above average and had the fans in Texas invested. Zayn winning, whether you like it or not, is the right call, in that he has more to do creatively right now. But one has to wonder exactly what the point of presenting Shinsuke Nakamura as a potential challenger to Roman Reigns is, only to back off of that and leave him in limbo. But I'm going to give this 3 to 3.25 stars for the effort. And it was one of the fights of the night. I probably would say maybe second best fight of the night on this show. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, come on in. we thought Sammy had won it by cheating. He got overruled. We thought Shin had won with the Kinshasa. That didn't happen. But Sammy somehow got a haluva kick in, and whether we like it or not, Lame Duck Man is going to Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, we may not like it, but like you said, I mean, this was the right call here. I mean, I'll give this about maybe maybe 3.25 as well. I mean, yeah, some people said, I mean, maybe, I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura should have gotten this more, but Sami Zayn was the right call, whether we like it or not, and who knows what he can deliver in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. So there's really nothing more for me to add to it. So let's move on.
And unfortunately, we have to move on to a vintage campy comedy bull funky nonsense segment. It was the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They came out, and we thought it was maybe going to be for a tag team, and it was Jinder Mahal and Shanky, but it was not a regular match. It was a dance challenge. Really? Really. But something of note did happen as the segment came to an end. The Viking Raiders are back, and they attacked the New Day, and they attacked Shanky. There's no doubt about it. The Viking Raiders have turned heel. And I think it's going to do wonders for them. I really do. Those two as a monster, badass heel tag team, oh yeah. Business will certainly pick up in the tag team division. Especially if the Usos ever lose those undisputed tag team titles. Which could happen next week at Money in the Bank to the Profits. You never know. That could happen, but we'll see. But finally, it was something fresh for the Viking Raiders. Yes, they're still cosplayers, but they're heel cosplayers. And I'm looking forward to the inevitable series of matches that the Viking Raiders and the New Day are going to have. That could be an interesting feud there. So we're not going to waste too much time on it, but at least something good. At least we did get a bit of a payoff in that ridiculous segment. And that's all there is to say there. So that was great. So then we had Sonya Deville. Apparently Sonya Deville is back on SmackDown, and she confronted Adam Pearce backstage. And Adam announced that Sonya Deville was going to be competing in a 2-on-1 handicap match. She was going to be taking on two opponents. Those two opponents happened to be Raquel Rodriguez and Lacey Evans. And Lacey Evans and Raquel Rodriguez win the match in 3 minutes and 5 seconds. But you notice Sonya didn't come out alone. Sonya had Shayna Baszler and Xia Li in her corner. So a little interesting there. But 305, the Pride Fighter fought admirably, but the two baby faces both qualified for the Money to Make ladder match, ultimately scored the win with the woman's right. And, nothing really to speak of. But if there was one positive to come out of this, just like with that last segment, it was that the heels make for a great trio. Sonya Deville, Xia Li, and Shayna Baszler could prove to be a dominant faction and maybe the perfect foils for a babyface champion like Ronda Rousey. And speaking of Ronda Rousey, we heard her music and we thought, oh, Ronda's here. All right, this could be good. Nope. It turned out to be Natalya, dressed up as Ronda Rousey, mocking the Rowdy One. Came out with a baby stroller because, Ronda, had a baby several months ago. And, but then luckily the real Ronda came out and they, exchanged, and went at it, had a verbal and physical confrontation. So it was a segment that was unneeded, and worse yet, was one-sided in the favor of Rousey. The verbiage designed to raise eyebrows and generate discussion came across as plain mean more than anything. And And sure, both women have traded insults on social media, but in this context, it was mainly Ronda who came across as the aggressor. The match at Money in the Bank could be very good, but like most everything else on the show, will be so despite the creative. So I would probably give this about maybe 1 to 1.5 for the match. For the match, 1 to 1.5 for the segment. Nothing. But Ronda did say something interesting, though. She said the closest you'll ever get to being a main attraction in this company is dressing up like me. And that was great. So I like that. So we're not going to really get more into that. But we are going to get into this. Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line. The return match, the champion Gunther defending against the former champion Ricochet. Gunther wins the match, 3 minutes and 10 seconds, retains the title. Unfortunately, we're going to have to bypass this because this is a cutout here, 3:10. This was a massive letdown. Based on what the competitors delivered the last time they shared the squared circle a couple weeks ago, it was way too short and too one-sided to amount to much. It was, though, however, a quality win for Gunther as he continues to establish dominance as the next unstoppable force in WWE. Unfortunately, his usage suggests Ricochet is once again an immensely talented wrestler without a direction. Just 3 months after it appeared as though he had earned a rejuvenated push when he won the Intercontinental Championship. I believe it was back in February when he knocked off Sami Zayn with help from Johnny Knoxville. So, but anyways, then we had the women's Money in the Bank qualifying match. It was Shotzi. Originally, it was scheduled to be Shotzi versus Aaliyah, but Aaliyah out, Tamina in. Pat McAfee said that Aaliyah got hurt. I mean, we're going to have to look into that and see what happened. But nonetheless, it was Shotzi versus Tamina, and Shotzi wins the match 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So Shotzi now adds her name to the list alongside of Raquel Rodriguez, Lacey Evans, her fellow SmackDown competitors. And then from Monday Night Raw, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, and Liv Morgan. One spot left. Not sure when that final qualifier will be. It could be Monday Night on Raw. It could be next week on SmackDown. We don't know, but we'll have to wait and find out. But this was another 1 to 1.5 for the effort here. It was not much from an in-ring perspective. The match at least gave Shotzi a key victory after being utilized so inconsistently since her heel turn last year. Hopefully this win and the other handful of appearances she has compiled of late are proof of an expanded role on Friday nights. She is far too unique a performer with a larger-than-life personality with too much potential to be wasted as she had been. And then before we got to the main event, Pat McAfee was given a live microphone. He stood on the announce table and he challenged Happy Corbin to a match at SummerSlam. Michael Bullock, I believe you had this one based on what we saw a week ago. And I'm trying to look and see if it's been confirmed. And I think it might be. I don't know. I gotta check this out. Well, I don't see anything in here yet, but you got to imagine Corbin's going to accept. So yeah, Bullock, you had that one. Pat McAfee called out Happy Corbin for a match at SummerSlam, and we all remember Pat McAfee was a big hit at WrestleMania until, of course, he got buried by Vince McMahon, unfortunately. But anywho, we'll have to wait and see. I know it's been a rough show, Bullock, but don't worry. We're finally going to get into some good stuff here. I promise you. And this is it. The main event. This was the main event we were waiting for. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus squaring off against the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, the Usos. If McIntyre and Sheamus win, they both qualify for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. If they lose, well, then they're out. Winners of the match in 11 minutes and 20 seconds. Somehow, some way, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus got the job done. Craziness at the end of this one because of, the Street Profits were out there on commentary. Sami Zayn tried to get involved. Ridge Holland and Butch tried to get involved. But somehow, some way, McIntyre and Sheamus, yes, they clashed during the match. They got into it, but somehow, some way, they found a way to get it done. Michael Bullock, you had your doubts. You had your doubts about this when the match was announced, but I said to you, I believe McIntyre and Sheamus will somehow find a way to win this thing, and somehow they did. I told you they would. So, your thoughts on the main event?
Yeah, without a doubt, this was the fight of the night. I'll give this about 3.25, teetering on 3.5. I mean, yeah, going into this, I mean, I did have my doubts because, I mean, we've seen that Sheamus and Drew, they basically hate each other, and you were thinking maybe this was going to be a chance for the Usos to expose that, and that would be their downfall. But yet, all sorts of craziness, obviously with Ridge Holland and Butch, and then of course, well, the Profits, of course, were already out there, and then Sami Zayn tried to run in, but Angelo Dawkins basically said, "Not on our watch," and thanks to all that, somehow, some way, they are back in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, and yeah, I gotta give it to you, Florio. I mean, I had my doubts, but you had it all the way. So yeah, so 3.25, teetering on 3.5. A good way to close out, which I thought was a very disappointing edition of a Friday Night SmackDown. So for Florio, which
100% agree. However, I'm actually going to bump it. I'll pull the trigger and give it 3.5 stars because I thought this was a very good match. I mean, especially, yes, there was a commercial break during it, but it was the action after the break that really did it. I mean, the final few minutes of the match that really peaked it, and with all the craziness and Drew McIntyre with that tope con hilo. I mean, that was wow, that was insane, and somehow, some way, they did it. I mean, I told Bullock I had a feeling, and I'm not at all surprised. And I had a feeling they were going to get it done. They did it. So we got Drew McIntyre and Sheamus alongside of Seth frickin' Rollins, Omos, and Sami Zayn as the men who are currently in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match that goes down next Saturday night at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. And we'll preview that show right here next week on the Cerebral Smack Talk. Hopefully MF will be with us for that. But, we'll have to wait and see what happens. So, all right. So with that, get into the overall thoughts. And yeah, this was not a good show. There are some people who actually thought it was a good show, but I think you need to take another look at it because this was not a good show. I mean, yes, the main event was great. Yes, Zayn and Nakamura was good, but we had too many short matches. That god awful dance segment that was, however, saved by the heel turn of the Viking Raiders, and then the opening segment was the segment of the night, and I would probably have to give this probably about probably in excess of 3 to 3.5 out of 10 because this was not a good show at all. Like I said, the main event was very well done. That was the fight of the night, hands down. Zayn Nakamura, solid match from those two. Those were the only two good matches on this show. Go out of your way to see those. Maybe the opening segment and the Viking Raider heel turn. And other than that, you can pretty much skip everything else. So definitely a major step down from the great show we had a week ago. Last week's show was very good last week. It was mainly because of that main event with Riddle and Roman Reigns. But this time around, it was back to business as usual. And also, this was a vintage case of back to reality. So hard dose of it tonight. So 3.5 for me. Michael Bullock, your overall thought, and then we'll get into the final AEW Rampage before Forbidden Door.
2.5 to 3 is my rating. I mean, this was a horrific show. I mean, the first match and the main event, but I mean, were good, but everything else was just blah. And basically, don't get me going on the whole dancing thing, because I would have literally ripped into WWE. I mean, first off, well, you know what? I'm gonna freaking do it anyway. I mean, what was the point of that segment? Really? Really? I mean, does this have anything to do with anything leading up to Money in the Bank?
Absolutely
not.
Nope.
I mean, this had no business being on the show.
Filler.
And I mean, yeah, it's all those fucking WWE Redders that are that basically think they know what they're doing. Well, I'll tell you something right now, Florio. They don't fucking know what they're doing right now. So I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry to go off like that, but I'm basically getting tired of seeing all this fucking campy comedy, bull funky nonsense, and I'm fucking tired of it. I'm done. Amen. I'm finished. Florio, let's get into Rampage before we go off the deep end.
Yeah. So, tell us how you really feel, but you just did. So, all right. We're not going to waste any more time on that ridiculousness. Let's get into AEW Rampage. This may have been the final AEW show before Sunday's Forbidden Door pay-per-view, but most of the matches put the main focus on the AEW roster. Two of the men who will compete in the triple threat tag team match on Sunday were in singles action when Jeff Cobb took on Cash Wheeler. We also saw the DKC take on Hook. Serena Deeb teamed with Mercedes Martinez, and Rey Fenix battled Andrade El Idolo in a high-flying spectacle. Let's take a look at what went down during tonight's show as we continue on with the Cerebral Smack Talk. This show, of course, was taped this past Wednesday night at the UW Milwaukee Panther Arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we started off with that match, Andrade El Idolo versus Rey Fenix. Winner of the match in 17 minutes and 50 seconds. It was Andrade El Idolo with a little help from his longtime partner, Rush. So, all right. Solid 4 stars. I was gonna give it in excess of 4.25 to 4.5, but I do have to take a little bit of it away because of the clunky finish there. But don't let that take away from what was an amazing match. This is one of those matches that looks great on paper and still ends up exceeding expectations because both of these men are so good at what they do. Even the few minor mistakes or communication errors that the most eagle-eyed fans might spot were not enough to make this match anything less than a fantastic performance. They did a good job portraying Andrade as a slightly more powerful striker while making Rey Fenix look like he was just a bit more agile. This was a perfect mix of their individual interpretations of the Lucha Libre style. Rush made his AEW debut during this match when he attacked Fenix with a low blow, clearing the way for Andrade to score the win with his signature hammerlock DDT. Andrade countering a Hurricanrana before hitting his own was a nice sequence. It's always fun to see an Eddie Guerrero tribute during a match, especially when the crowd gets into it. Andrade's pants started to rip near the pocket at one point. How he managed to keep the rip from expanding is a mystery, and Rey Fenix is so good at selling fake injuries that he scares people into thinking he might actually be hurt. But 4 stars. This is most certainly the fight of the night, no question about it. And I would have given it a higher rating. I would have given it maybe 4.25, 4.5. But like I said, because of the interference of Rush, we got to take it down a peg. But 4, maybe 4.25 for this. But this was still the fight of the night. Fantastic match between two great workers. And Michael Bullock, yes, this match may have had a clunky finish, but let me tell you, this match alone was better than anything we saw on that horrific SmackDown tonight.
Yeah, and like you said, Florio, this first match alone was better than that awful SmackDown tonight. I mean, if that doesn't show you how bad WWE is right now, I mean, one match from AEW Rampage was far and away better than their entire show. You got some serious issues, WWE. Major issues. But getting back to this, 4 stars. I agree with you. This is the fight of the night. I mean, I would have given it 4.25, maybe 4.5, but the interference, the clunky finish, basically did take away from it. But don't let that whole thing ruin what was a very good match. I mean, these two can put on a good match, and this was a prime example of it right here. So, nothing more to say. Let's move on, Florio.
And we had our we had a cool down cutoff match after this cutout rather. Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Mercedes Martinez teaming up with Serena Deeb in a delicious squash against Sierra and Laney Luck. Mercedes Martinez and Serena Deeb win the match, 3 minutes, 20 seconds. It was a showcase. That's really all it was. I mean, unfortunately for the up-and-coming talents in Luck and Sierra, Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez are two of the best in the game. So this was not as competitive as they were hoping it would be. This match went for a few minutes before the ROH Women's Champion and the former NWA Women's Champion scored the win. Even though Deeb looked upset at one point, she still helped Martinez when Sierra tried to save her partner. It was short, but it was a decent display of all 4 women's talent. A couple more minutes would have made a big difference, though. So I could probably give this about 1.5, maybe 2 for the effort here. So I'm not going to, go much further. Then we had another cutout match, Hook versus the DKC. Hook won the match, 1 minute and 45 seconds. This was the worst fight of the night. This was a dud. After a short fight, the second generation star picked up another win to pad his record even more. It was short and sweet, but it didn't show us anything we haven't already seen from Hook. He needs more competitive opponents and matches soon. And then the main event, one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions, Jeff Cobb, versus one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, Cash Wheeler of FTR. Winner of the match in 10 minutes and 50 seconds, Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb actually wins the match. Michael Bullock, color me surprised. Big win for Jeff Cobb. Knocking off Cash Wheeler and giving United Empire a big advantage going into that huge triple threat winner-take-all tag team title match that we're going to be previewing in just a short. So, big win for Cobb. Color me surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Cash Wheeler was going to win this one, but no. I mean, this turned out to be the big surprise here. So, I'll give this about maybe 3.25, 3.5. I mean, it was a good match, but I'm giving it that rating just for the surprise element with the outcome here. I mean, it definitely gives them some momentum going into that matchup at Forbidden Door. So like I said, I'm giving it 3 stars for the match, but I'm giving it 3.25 to 3.5 because of the surprise outcome. So, Florio, it is yours.
3.25 to 3.5 for me. Both of these men are great performers, so it wasn't surprising to see them put on a good show. The real value of this match is that it proves we should stop categorizing people as singles and tag team wrestlers. Anyone who is great in the ring can do both well. So separating them seems kind of pointless unless we are talking only about the majority of the matches they have. This match was both competitive and creative. When the dust cleared, Cobb emerged victorious. This led to their tag team partners coming out for a fight, and they were soon joined by Roppongi Vice to end the show with a brawl just like we had Wednesday night on Dynamite. I'll give it 3.25 to 3.5 stars. Jeff Cobb standing on Cash Wheeler's back like he was a surfboard was pretty funny, and Cobb hitting a standing moonsault was a nice surprise. So 3.25, 3.5 for this. For the overall show, I'll give it about 6.5 to 7. And that's mainly because of the first match. The first match was the clear fight of the night with Andrade and Rey Fenix. Main event was the second best fight, bookended by those two great matches. The women's match, you could say, was like a short and fun little sprint, I guess, and then Hook with his usual delicious squash. So I'll probably give this about 6.5, maybe 7 for this. This was definitely better than SmackDown. And go figure, a taped Rampage was better than a live SmackDown. Go figure. So not much more to say on that. 6.5 to 7. Bullock, your quick thought, and then we'll get into our preview of Forbidden Door.
Yeah, 6.5 to 7. I mean, like you said, the main event and the first match were what made this a 6.5 to 7. I mean, the other two matches were just there. I mean, too short, but I mean, like you said, Florio, go figure. A taped Rampage was far better than Friday Night SmackDown. And like I said before, Florio, if that doesn't prove that WWE's got some major problems, I don't know what will. Let's get into Forbidden Door.
All right. The Forbidden Door will open this Sunday night as AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling join forces for their first co-promoted event. What promised to be a pay-per-view full of interpromotional dream matches has been severely hindered by AEW's current injury crisis. With CM Punk and Bryan Danielson suffering injuries and Kenny Omega still out of action, Forbidden Door will be more of an entry point into the AEW New Japan partnership than a definitive supercard. Punk was originally scheduled to defend the AEW World Championship against Hiroshi Tanahashi event, but just days after winning the title, Punk suffered a foot injury that required surgery, keeping him out of action for this show. AEW created an interim world title in Punk's absence, with either Jon Moxley or Hiroshi Tanahashi set to be crowned as interim champion. As much as Moxley Tanahashi is a fitting main event for Forbidden Door, it's not quite as special as Punk Tanahashi would have been. Moxley regularly competes for New Japan and would have inevitably faced Tanahashi one-on-one at some point. A Punk Tanahashi match is something that never seemed possible until it was on the verge of happening. While New Japan was rising in popularity in the United States over the past decade, Punk was either with WWE or out of pro wrestling entirely. Seeing Punk Tanahashi in Punk's hometown of Chicago would have been surreal. The type of dream match that everyone hoped for when Forbidden Door was announced. And then Danielson was not being cleared to compete. Equally big blow. He was scheduled to face Zack Sabre Jr. in what would have been a matchup of the two best technical wrestlers of their era. More than a decade removed from his last match against Sabre, it would have been a chance for Danielson to prove that Sabre still hasn't surpassed him. But bad luck has marred the build to this super show, but it's still incredible that this event is even happening. Pro wrestling is at its best when companies work together to give fans new and exciting matchups. For too long, the COVID-19 pandemic kept the industry constrained and limited that talent movement. But AEW and New Japan are natural partners and can both benefit greatly from this working relationship. And AEW wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for its founding fathers becoming breakout stars while working for New Japan in the 2010s. And sharing talent and collaborating on events will make both companies stronger than they would have been on their own. The Forbidden Door main card begins at 8 on Sunday night with one match also set to air on the pre-show. And here we go. Let's get into it. And I'm going to go from bottom to top. And we start with the match that will air on the buy-in. It will be Max Caster, Billy Gunn. Well, it's Max Caster and the entire Gunn Club. Billy Gunn, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn versus Yuya Uemura, Alex Coughlin, Kevin Knight, and the DKC. That's going to be on the pre-show. We're not going to really get into that because we don't really talk about pre-show matches unless they're big, but this one's not. If I had to pick, I probably would go with Max Caster and the Gunn Club to win. So now let's get into the main card. It's going to be an 8-man tag team matchup. We got the new AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, teaming up with Hikuleo and El Phantasmo of the Bullet Club in New Japan. And they're going to be squaring off against Sting, Darby Allin, Shingo Takagi, and Hiromu Takahashi. It would have been nice to see the Young Bucks in a higher profile match with a better build at Forbidden Door. Still, any Young Bucks match is guaranteed to be a contender for Fight of the Night. And it's great that Forbidden Door will have Los Ignobles de Japón representation in Takagi and Takahashi. I wish MF was here because he knows that stable in and out better than Bulk and I do. But the Young Bucks are the current AEW World Tag Team Champions. Sting or Darby Allin should get the win for their team here, setting up maybe a potential title match down the road. So I'm going to go with Sting, Darby Allin, Shingo Takagi, and Hiromu Takahashi of Los Ignobles de Japón for the win. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, your thoughts on that, on this 8-man?
Yeah, I think this definitely will be a good. I'm with you, Florio. I'm gonna go with the team of Sting and Darby Allin and well, yeah, whatever the name of those. What are the name of those two?
Shingo Takagi and
Shingo Takagi
and Hiromu Takahashi.
And Hiromu Takahashi. That's who I'm going with.
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna have to bear with me. I mean, I really am.
Yeah.
Some things I'll be able to.
Yeah, the pronunciations of some of the names I know, but
yeah.
But those two guys are a part of Los Ignobles de Japón, and they're one of the big stables in New Japan. And MF would have told us stories for days if he was here. But anyways, let's get into this next match. 6-man tag team matchup. Chris Jericho, Minoru Suzuki, and Sammy Guevara squaring off against Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino. Michael Bullock, who you got in this 6-man?
Yeah, I mean, this would be another good match, obviously, to continue with this feud with the Jericho Appreciation Society and Eddie Kingston. So to me, I'm going to go with Eddie Kingston, Wheeler, and who was the name of this guy?
Shota Umino.
Shota Umino. So nothing more for me to say. Florio, it's yours.
Respectfully disagree here. This six man tag match is taking place 3 days before the Jericho Appreciation Society and a team led by Eddie Kingston collide in a blood and guts match on Dynamite. Assuming that Kingston will get his revenge on Jericho in the blood and guts match, I believe Jericho, Suzuki, and Guevara should be victorious at Forbidden Door. So I'm going to go with Jericho, Suzuki, and Guevara for the win in this 6-man. All right. Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be squaring off against a mystery opponent. Now, the thing is, it was supposed to be Bryan Danielson squaring off against Zack Sabre Jr. But Bryan Danielson announced this past Wednesday on Dynamite that he can't compete due to injury, but he's going to name a replacement. And he said it was someone that he trusts a lot. And that man will not only be in this match, but he's also going to be in the blood and guts match on the next Dynamite. So with all that being said, we don't know who it is, but I'm going to take a stab at it. I'm going to say it's the man formerly known as Cesaro in the WWE, Claudio Castagnoli. The former Cesaro in WWE is the only available choice that could make up for Danielson being injured. Aligning with Danielson and the Blackpool Combat Club would be the perfect introduction for Castagnoli. Even at 41 years old, he has the chance to prove in AEW that he's capable of being the main eventer that WWE sadly never saw him as. If Castagnoli is Danielson's replacement, he cannot lose in his debut. And Castagnoli should be given every opportunity to be a top star in AEW. So I'm going to say the mystery opponent is going to be Claudio Castagnoli, formerly Cesaro in WWE. And I'm going to say that the former Cesaro will go on to defeat Zack Sabre Jr. on Sunday night. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Michael Bullock, how do you follow that? My gosh.
I'm gonna follow with the. I agree with you. I mean, I think it's gonna be the man formerly known as Cesaro. It's gonna Bryan Danielson and the man formerly known as Cesaro. I think is gonna beat Sabre Jr. So yeah, so there's nothing more for me to add here. So it cheers Florio.
All right, Bullock. Here we go. This is the that big winner take all match. A three-way winner take all match for both the Ring of Honor and IWGP World Tag Team Championships. The Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, versus IWGP Tag Team Champions, Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan of the United Empire, and Roppongi Vice, Trent Beretta, and Rocky Romero. Whew. Michael Bullock, who's walking out with all that hardware?
Man, this is a tough one. I mean, Roppongi Vice. I mean, definitely is a good choice. But then again, you also gotta. I mean, United Empire is definitely going in with the advantage, but I'm gonna actually take a chance here, Florio, and I'm gonna say that FTR walks out with both, not just the ROH tag team titles, but the IWGP tag team titles. So not an easy choice, but I'm going with FTR. So it's yours.
Agreed. Both the Ring of Honor and IWGP World Tag Team titles will be on the line in this winner-take-all match. FTR have been one of the highlights in all of professional wrestling this year, and them winning the IWGP Tag Team titles would open the door for even more incredible matches. The promise of FTR heading to Japan to defend the IWGP World Tag Team titles is one of the most exciting results that could happen on Sunday night. So I'm right there with you, Bullet. Winners and still Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions and new IWGP Tag Team Champions, FTR. And you heard what MF said on the show the other night. I think they're building FTR as belt collectors because remember, they're also the AAA in Mexico Tag Team Champions. So they could have 3 sets of Tag Team Championships come Sunday night. And I believe they will. So I'm right there with you, Bullock. FTR walks out with the gold. Next up, a 4-way match to crown the inaugural AEW All-Atlantic Champion. Miro versus Pac versus Malachi Black versus originally scheduled to be Tomohiro Ishii, but Tomohiro Ishii injured his knee. He's out. Clark Connors is in. Clark Connors was the man that Ishii beat to qualify for this match. The creation of the All-Atlantic Championship was a curious decision by AEW. With so many titles existing between AEW and Ring of Honor, the last thing the company needed was a new secondary championship. It feels especially redundant given that we haven't been told what makes the All-Atlantic Championship all that different from AEW's other titles. The Forbidden Door card took another hit when New Japan's Tomohiro Ishii had to be replaced by Clark Connors due to a knee injury. Of the 3 AEW representatives in the match, I believe Pac would benefit most by becoming the first All-Atlantic champion. He's been with AEW since the start of the promotion, but he has yet to hold a championship. And I think that could end. So I'm going to take a chance here, and I'm going to say Pac wins it. But there's one guy who I believe very likely will be the winner of this, and that's Miro. If it's Miro, I would not at all be surprised. But I'm going to take a chance and go with Pac to win this. But Miro is my other choice. So, but I'm going to take a chance on Pac because I think he's due for a championship. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever. So, not much more to say. Michael Bullock, who's walking out? The inaugural AEW All Atlantic Champion.
Man, I mean, I'm with you, Florio. I got to go with Pac here. And like you said, I mean, since he's been with AEW since its launch, I mean, he hasn't won a title of any kind in AEW. And I think this is the time for him to do it. But if I had to go with a secondary choice, I'm with you as well. I would have to go with Miro, but I'm going to take a chance and go with Pac to win this one. So let's move on to the next match.
And it will be for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Will Ospreay, defending against the challenger, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. Michael Bullock, who you got?
I think this is going to be a really good match. I mean, when you got Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy, but I just think Will Ospreay's the better man. I mean, Orange Cassidy could give him some fits, but I think in the end, Will Ospreay to win this one. So winner and still the IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion, Will Ospreay. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy being Will Ospreay's opponent at Forbidden Door has drawn a significant amount of criticism. There may have been better options to face Ospreay than a gimmick wrestler like Cassidy, but this match is guaranteed to exceed any low expectations. It will follow the same formula as Pac versus Orange Cassidy from Revolution 2020, with Cassidy shining when he decides to take the match seriously, but ultimately falling short. So I do agree with you, Bullock. Winner and still IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion, Will Ospreay. Next up, the AEW Women's World Championship on the line. The champion, Thunder Rosa, defending against Toni Storm. Rosa versus Storm is the only match on Sunday's card that is not an interpromotional bout because New Japan Pro Wrestling does not have a women's division. It's surprising that this isn't being saved for a future AEW pay-per-view. If the match was happening further into Rosa's reign, it would be easier to buy her losing the title. And while Toni Storm has the potential to be the face of the AEW women's division, Thunder Rosa's title reign is just now kicking into gear after she won it 3 months ago from Dr. Britt Baker in the steel cage in her home state of Texas on that same St. Patty's Day Slam show. So with that, I'll be honest with you. I want to see Toni Storm win the title. And this would be a major way to stick it to WWE after how they criminally underutilized her in her run. But at the end of the day, I think it's still a little too soon to take the title off of Rosa. So I want Storm to win, but we got to be realistic here. Winner and still AEW Women's World Champion, Thunder Rosa. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, I'm sure you agree with my sentiments. We want to see Storm win, but I think it's a little too soon to take the title off of Rosa.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Thunder Rosa to win and retain the title. So, but I gotta be a little critical here, Florio. If I'm gonna be quite honest with you, I mean, why is this match even part of the Forbidden? I mean, I thought this was all with AEW and New Pro Wrestling going at it. This literally has nothing to do with.
With all due respect, you heard what I said. New Japan Pro Wrestling does not have a women's division, and they obviously wanted to have a women's match on the show. That's probably why.
I mean, I understand that, but if you're gonna promote, I mean, with AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, I mean, and this is just my honest opinion, they should have done this on AEW Dynamite. I mean, that way you don't have all the conflicting with AEW and New Japan. I mean, I understand where you're coming from with this, Florio, but this is just how I personally feel. So
fair enough.
So with that being said, Thunder, let's move on.
Oh boy, here we go. And now we have reached the two big main events, the double main event of this pay-per-view. First up, the four-way match for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Jay White, versus the former champion, Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, Hangman Adam Page, Adam Cole. Michael Bullock, who's walking out with the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship? Does the Switchblade retain? Does it go to AEW via the Hangman or Adam Cole, baby? Or does the Rainmaker take his title back?
I said this to you before. and I'm going to say it again. This is going to be the fight of the night, and this one's going to steal the damn show. I mean, with the already in there, and then you add Okada to it, that just makes this even more intriguing. And now with you adding Okada, this definitely makes it an easy choice. There, and once again, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada is going to be the man that wins that title back. So, nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
One of the biggest disappointments with the Forbidden Door card is the fact that Kazuchika Okada is not involved in a one-on-one match. But don't get me wrong, this four-way is going to be stellar. And it very likely probably will steal the dang show. Who knows? But anything that gives Okada less time to shine is a negative. He's one of the greatest wrestlers to ever live. But just having Okada appeared at a sold-out United Center in Chicago on Sunday night will be a special moment in AEW history. We're only 2 weeks removed from Jay White taking and defeating Okada to win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at the Dominion event. It will be interesting to see how dissension between Jay White and Adam Cole gets us closer to a Bullet Club / Undisputed Elite split. This is just like with the All Atlantic match. I'm going to go with Okada to regain the title, but do not at all be surprised if somehow, some way, the Switchblade finds a way to steal it and walk out still the champion. So, because it's only been a couple weeks. So, but I do want to see. I want to see that. I do want to see Okada win the title here, and it will be an awesome moment. And I know nobody wants to see that more than good old MF Michael Fletcher, because we all know MF cannot stand Jay White. He hates Jay White. He loves Okada. Okada's his boy, and if Okada wins the title, you thought MF was marking out the other night. MF will mark out even more if his boy, the Rainmaker, gets the belt back. But God forbid if Jay White walks out still the champ, MF's going to be Cerebral Viper mode, full out. So, but I'm going to go with Okada to regain the title, but do not be at all surprised if the Switchblade steals it. And with that, we now go to the main event for the AEW Interim World Heavyweight Championship. Representing All Elite Wrestling, Jon Moxley versus representing New Japan Pro Wrestling, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Though it is not as much of a marquee main event as CM Punk versus Hiroshi Tanahashi would have been, Moxley versus Tanahashi is probably the better in-ring match. It would be great if Tanahashi was able to have a short run as interim world champion until CM Punk makes his return from injury. But Tanahashi likely won't be able to appear in AEW often enough to make that a viable possibility. Moxley is a strong choice as interim champion. He had a great world title run in 2020 and should always be near the title picture. Hopefully, CM Punk is able to return in time for an undisputed title match against Moxley at the All Out pay-per-view in September. So with that, the winner and AEW interim world champion, Jon Moxley. Michael Bullock, it's yours. Take it home.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I'm going to go winner and AEW interim world champion in a match that I think that's going to be really good here. It's going to be Moxley. Wrap it up, Florio.
And that's the best possible way you can do so. So there you go. So, and hopefully Justin Roberts will be back because, Dasha has been filling in for him the last couple of weeks. So hopefully the Dapper Yapper will be back. So, all right. So with that being said, that will put the bow on this edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you on Monday night for right back here on the Zone 25 for another edition of Ridiculously Raw. We will review the go-home show as we kick off Money in the Bank week, as we will be reviewing Monday Night Raw's go-home show, which features the 20-year anniversary celebration of John Cena. And then from there, I will also have my my Tony's take, my latest Tony's take on Impact Wrestling and NXT Level Up, and that'll be on Monday. Wednesday, we got Wednesday Night Madness. We will review the Forbidden Door pay-per-view as well as NXT 2.0 and AEW Dynamite as always. And MF will have his latest Big 3 basketball recap or report. And then Thursday night, special edition of TXN Sports World as we'll be recapping the 2022 NBA draft with our team by team grades. And then right back here 1 week from the night, Cerebral Smack Talk, Friday Night SmackDown, their go home show for Money in the Bank, AEW Rampage, and then we will preview the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So that's it. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Florio here on behalf of all of us here at Talking Wrestling TXN. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, the Phenom Michael Bullock, and the First Lady Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you're watching the Cerebral Smack Talk right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.